Many people over the age of 60 begin to notice strange changes in how their legs feel. It is not always pain, and it is not always sudden. More often, it is a quiet, hard to describe sensation. The legs may feel less sensitive. There can be mild tingling, a feeling of heaviness, or the sense that the feet are not fully connected to the floor. Sometimes it feels as if the legs are there, but they do not respond the way they used to. For some people, this happens while walking. They follow a familiar path, yet their steps feel less confident. For others, numbness appears after sitting for a long time, when standing up feels awkward or unstable. And for some, the legs become numb at night, causing them to wake up and change position. These sensations rarely appear all at once. They usually develop slowly. At first, they happen only from time to time, then more often. And eventually, many people begin to accept them as a normal part of aging. The explanation often sounds simple. It's just age. It's circulation. It happens to everyone after 60. And for many, that is where the search for answers stops. Instead of asking why, people adjust their behavior. They walk more carefully. They move more slowly. They avoid longer walks or unfamiliar places. Not because of sharp pain, but because of a subtle feeling of instability. A quiet loss of confidence in their legs. It is important to understand one key point. Numbness is not a diagnosis. It is a signal. It is the body's way of saying that communication between the brain and the legs is not working as smoothly as before. And while many people immediately think about blood flow, circulation is not always the main cause. To understand what is really happening, we need to look at the problem more broadly and explore why these sensations become so common after 60. When people notice numbness in their legs, the first explanation they usually hear is simple: poor circulation. And it sounds logical. Blood brings oxygen and nutrients. So if the legs feel weak or numb, circulation must be the problem. But the body is rarely that simple. In many cases, blood flow is only part of the picture, and sometimes it is not the main issue at all. To understand why, we need to talk about how the body communicates. Every movement you make begins in the brain. Signals travel through the spinal cord, along nerves, and finally reach the muscles in your legs. This system works quietly in the background. You do not feel it when everything is functioning well. But when communication slows down or becomes unclear, the body sends signals in other ways. Numbness is one of those signals. After the age of 60, several changes begin to happen at the same time. Muscles naturally lose strength. Joints become stiffer. And nerves may transmit signals less efficiently than before. This does not mean something is broken. It means the system needs more support than it used to. One important detail is often overlooked: long periods of sitting. When you sit for extended amounts of time, certain muscles become inactive, others tighten, and over time, this imbalance can affect how nerves and blood vessels work together. That is why numbness often appears after sitting, not during movement. Standing up feels strange. The legs hesitate. The body needs a moment to reconnect. Walking can help, but walking alone does not always address the deeper issue. Some muscles, especially those that support posture and stability, are not fully engaged during normal walking. And if those muscles remain weak, the problem can quietly continue. This is why understanding which muscles matter and how they are used becomes so important after 60. Many people believe that walking is enough to keep their legs strong, and walking is important. But after the age of 60, it often stops being sufficient on its own. The reason is not in the legs themselves. It starts higher, in the muscles that support the hips. The glute muscles are some of the largest and most powerful muscles in the body. They help stabilize the pelvis. They support the spine. And they play a key role in how the legs move and feel. But these muscles are designed for movement, not for sitting. When we spend long hours seated, the glute muscles gradually become inactive. They stop receiving clear signals from the nervous system, and over time, they lose strength and responsiveness. This change is subtle. You do not feel it happening, but the body adapts. When the glutes are weak, other muscles are forced to compensate. The lower back works harder. The thighs take on extra load, and the legs begin to feel heavy, tired, or unstable. Walking helps circulation, but walking does not fully activate the glute muscles, especially if the stride is short and cautious, as it often becomes with age. So even people who walk every day may still have weak glutes, and this weakness can contribute to numbness, stiffness, or discomfort in the legs. The good news is that these muscles respond quickly when they are properly engaged. They do not require intense workouts, and they do not require standing exercises. In fact, one of the most effective ways to activate the glute muscles can be done while sitting. That is where the real change begins. Now, let us talk about the exercise itself, because this is where many people expect something complicated. It is not. This movement is simple, it is gentle, and it is
Nothing like a warm cup of
specifically for
tea.
people over 60. You
The
do
sun
not
feels
need
wonderful
special
today.
equipment. You do not need to lie on the floor, and you do not need to stand. All you need is a chair. Sit upright, with your feet flat on the floor. Your knees should be about hip width apart. Your back should feel tall, but relaxed. Now, place your attention on the muscles beneath you. Not the legs, not the knees, but the muscles you are sitting on. Slowly and gently, tighten those muscles, as if you are lightly lifting yourself inside the chair. Do not hold your breath, and do not squeeze hard. Hold the contraction for about 3 seconds, then slowly relax. That is 1 repetition. At first, this movement may feel unfamiliar. You may not be sure if you are doing it correctly. That is normal. The goal is not strength. The goal is awareness. Repeat this movement 10 times, slowly, with control. As these muscles begin to wake up, the nervous system responds. Signals become clearer, and support returns where it has been missing. Many people notice that standing up feels easier afterward. The legs feel more stable, and the body feels more connected. This exercise can be done once or twice a day, especially after long periods of sitting. It is small, but it sends a powerful message to the body. And that message is, these muscles are still needed. When this exercise is done regularly, changes do not happen overnight, but they do happen. Within the first few days, many people notice subtle differences. Standing up feels a little smoother. The legs feel more present, more responsive. After about 1 week, the body begins to adjust. The glute muscles activate more easily. They no longer feel asleep after long periods of sitting. This often leads to better balance. Movements feel more controlled, and the sense of heaviness in the legs may begin to fade. By the 2nd week, the effect becomes clearer. Walking feels more stable. Transitions from sitting to standing feel more natural. For some people, numbness becomes less frequent. For others, it becomes less intense. And even when it appears, recovery feels faster. It is important to understand that this exercise is not about pushing harder. It is about consistency. 10 gentle repetitions, once or twice a day, especially after sitting for a long time. There is no need to force the movement. There is no benefit in squeezing harder. The nervous system responds best to calm, controlled signals. If the exercise ever causes pain, it should be stopped. Discomfort is not the goal. Over time, this small daily habit can restore an important connection between the brain and the muscles that support the legs. This does not replace walking, and it does not replace movement, but it fills a gap that walking alone often leaves behind. And for many people over 60, that gap makes all the difference. Before making this exercise part of a daily routine, there are a few important points to understand. This movement is gentle, but gentle does not mean careless. The exercise should never cause sharp pain. It should not create pressure in the lower back, and it should not strain the knees. If you feel pain while doing it, stop. Pain is a signal that something is not right. The contraction should be light. Many people try to squeeze too hard, thinking that more effort brings faster results. In this case, it does not. Strong squeezing can cause tension in the lower back and may actually reduce the benefit of the movement. Breathing is also important. Do not hold your breath. Slow, natural breathing helps the nervous system respond correctly. There are situations where this exercise should be postponed. If you have recently had hip surgery, or if you are recovering from a serious lower back injury, it is best to wait and consult a medical professional. The same applies if numbness is sudden, severe, or worsening quickly. In such cases, professional evaluation is important. For most people, however, this exercise is safe, especially when done gently, while seated, and with full control. The goal is not to force the body. The goal is to restore communication. Small, calm movements send the clearest signals to the nervous system, and over time, those signals help the body work together again. Listening to your body is part of the process. Progress does not come from pushing harder. It comes from consistency and awareness. And when those are present, even simple movements can lead to meaningful change. Many people believe that walking alone is enough to keep the legs strong after 60. Walking is important, but it does not always activate the muscles that matter most. When the glute muscles are weak, the body often compensates in quiet ways. Steps become shorter. Posture changes slightly. Balance relies more on joints than muscles. That is why walking sometimes feels tiring, even when the distance is not long. This is where the seated exercise makes a difference. By gently activating the glute muscles while sitting, you prepare the body for movement before standing. The nervous system becomes more aware of the hips. The muscles begin to engage earlier with each step. As a result, walking can feel lighter, more stable, more controlled. You may notice that getting up from a chair feels easier, that standing feels more balanced, that walking requires less effort. This is not about replacing walking. It is about supporting it. Think of the seated exercise as a signal, and walking as the response. When the signal is clear, the movement that follows becomes smoother. Even short walks can feel different when the right muscles are awake. Over time, this combination helps restore confidence, not by forcing change, but by allowing the body to move the way it was designed to. Small preparation, simple movement, real-world improvement. Many people expect improvement to arrive suddenly. They wait for a clear moment when everything feels different, but the body rarely works that way. After 60, progress usually comes quietly, almost unnoticed at first. The earliest signs are not about strength. They are about stability. You may notice that standing feels steadier, that your weight feels more evenly distributed, that you do not hesitate as long before taking the first step. Some people describe it as feeling more connected to the ground. Others say their legs feel more reliable, not lighter, just more present. This is not a coincidence. When the glute muscles begin to activate again, the hips resume their role as stabilizers. That changes everything downstream. The knees no longer absorb as much stress. The lower back does not need to compensate as often. And the legs are no longer forced to do all the work alone. Movement becomes quieter, less effortful, more coordinated. You may notice this when sitting down. The movement feels more controlled, less like dropping into the chair. Standing up may feel smoother, less pushing, less bracing. Walking often feels different as well. Steps feel more deliberate. Balance feels more predictable. These changes do not announce themselves loudly. They show up in everyday moments. Getting up in the morning, standing after a meal, turning and walking across a room. This is how the body rebuilds confidence. Not through force, but through repetition and clarity. What matters most during this phase is consistency. Small, regular activation teaches the nervous system that support is available again. And once that message is received, the body begins to trust its movements. This is not about doing more. It is about doing enough, often enough. After 60, progress looks different. It is quieter, slower. But when it comes, it stays. Many people try this exercise for a few days and then quietly stop. Not because it hurts, and not because it feels wrong, but because nothing dramatic happens. This is one of the most common reasons people give up too early. After 60, the body does not respond with sudden changes. It responds with small adjustments, and those adjustments are easy to miss. One common mistake is trying too hard, squeezing the muscles forcefully, holding the breath, expecting a strong sensation. This often creates tension instead of activation. Another mistake is doing the exercise inconsistently. Once one day, then skipping several days, then trying again. The nervous system needs repetition. Without it, the signal fades. Some people stop because walking already feels good enough. They assume there is no need for something additional. But feeling okay is not the same as moving with full support. There's also the habit of waiting for pain to disappear completely, for numbness to vanish all at once. That is rarely how progress looks. Improvement usually comes as shorter episodes, faster recovery, more confidence between moments of discomfort. Another reason people stop is because the exercise feels too simple. They underestimate it. But simplicity is often what allows the body to relearn coordination safely. The key is patience. This is not a workout. It is a reset. 10 gentle repetitions, once or twice a day, done calmly. When the body receives the same clear signal again and again, it begins to respond. Not loudly, not suddenly, but reliably. And that is how lasting change happens after 60. As we come to the end, it is important to step back and look at the bigger picture. What we talked about is not a shortcut, and it is not a replacement for movement. It is a small adjustment that helps the body work the way it was meant to. After 60, the body does not lose its ability to adapt. It simply adapts more slowly, and it responds best to clear, gentle signals. The seated exercise is one of those signals. It reminds the nervous system that the muscles supporting the hips are still needed, that they still matter, and that they can still respond. Walking remains important. Daily movement remains important. But when those movements are supported properly, they feel different. Standing becomes more stable. Walking becomes more confident. Everyday transitions feel less demanding. None of this requires pushing harder. It requires listening more carefully. 10 gentle repetitions, once or twice a day, done calmly. Over time, these small moments add up, not into dramatic change, but into something more reliable, a body that feels more coordinated, more predictable, more trustworthy. And when the body feels trustworthy, confidence returns naturally. This is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters, quietly, consistently, and with respect for how the body changes with time.